it's been happening everywhere, and it's been happening for everyone but us. So it is finally about time. Like, it's about time. Outside of Ken and Ken Griffey Jr., and I ain't even saying that Ken got Junior in, because Junior was a beast.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
Call
ma'am.
the kid for a
Yes,
reason.
ma'am.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't even. I
We
don't
can't even
know
count that one, sis.
I
We
can't
can't
even
count that one.
one because you was gonna get in regardless.
You know who's been on point, right, is LeBron James using his massive power and influence to get his son drafted with the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA draft. And this really brings on a much-needed conversation about nepotism in sports, because we are the 3-on-3 guys. So we're going to get into just how much of a microcosm this is of really what's been going on forever, not just in sports, but in life. And the thing that is very clear, LeBron James manipulated the system, right?
Yes.
As he should have, to get Bronny James selected. If Bronny James wasn't up there, if he wasn't LeBron's son, he wouldn't have gotten selected by the Lakers. That's just a fact, okay? And I'm not particularly mad at it in this case, right? Because how many 55th picks have been sensational, right? How many of them been game changers? Can y'all even name me like the past 5? The only reason I can name it is because I did research before this show. Like, okay, here's who was picked in 2023, 2022, and they're mostly irrelevant, outside of Aaron Wiggins with the Thunder. But do you think it was a good decision by LeBron to use his power in this way, knowing the leverage that he has with the Lakers, Sharí?
I think it was the only decision. If you really think about it, LeBron has been very clear about, his retirement plan, and part of that plan was playing with his son. So he's somebody who has the power to be able to get his way. We've talked about that on this show before, and he exercised that power. The other piece to this is Bronny understands he's a role player. He's been saying that as well. So I don't think he's coming in thinking that he's going to take over in any kind of way. The reality is also LeBron is on the back end of his career. So at some point, Bronny James is going to have to prove himself, or he's not going to play in the league anymore. So I think with a player like Bronny, whose skill set, needs work in order to be like a factor in this league, this is the perfect place for him to be. Obviously, with the coaches and, with his father mentoring him, this may give him an opportunity to really have a career post LeBron James. So I think LeBron did what LeBron does, get his way. In this instance, I would hope that he's setting Bronny up for success, but that's still to be determined. And I think for me, that's the bigger thing. We could look at it like MJ's son played in college, child. He didn't bring him into the NBA. Because I think there's something about Michael Jordan that said, you ain't good enough. I'm not putting myself on the line for you, man. I'm not doing it. So LeBron,
you gotta earn that.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta earn it. So again, it's also about the mentality piece. Like LeBron and Michael Jordan, to me, again, this is what differentiates them. The mentality piece is different, but LeBron James did what LeBron James wanted, and Bronny followed suit. So it's not just about LeBron James. I think we need to open our minds to understand Bronny wanted this too. Because if he didn't want it, he wouldn't have gone through this process as well. All the criticism, the combines, everything that he had to go through to get to this point. If I don't want it to, I'm going to stay at USC. I'm not going through all of this just because my father wants me to play. So I'm more interested right now in 2-3 years from now, if Bronny's still here and if he's some form of a factor. But no one should be surprised by LeBron James doing what he absolutely had the power to do. And I think this speaks to a broader point that I'm sure we're going to talk about is, from a moral standpoint, when you infuse that with sports, are we towing a dangerous line? Because what this sets is a precedent for future players, NBA players, to do the same thing. This is the thing that LeBron James also thinks is going to seal his legacy. This is the piece. So for him, I'm doing it because I want to go out this way. LeBron James is all about records, guys. He's all about making history. That's his thing. How many records can I set? How much history can I make? So for him, as he, in his mind, he's the greatest player of all time. So I'm going to put as many of these historic markers in place to make sure that whoever comes behind me can't replicate it. So for LeBron James in that respect, I salute you. But long range, I'm very skeptical about Bronny James being able to actually have an impact in the league. But I can't hate on the young man for taking an opportunity that many young men in his position will never get. There's nothing wrong with that. And hopefully he proves himself in the long run.
I'm sitting here trying to think to myself about when I think about like some successful two-way role players in the league, right? Like, for example, Derek White is someone who comes to mind who just won a championship with the Celtics, right? He was at one point a two-way role player who elevated himself and his game to reaching star status of his own. You know what I mean? I think Josh Richardson is another person that kind of comes to mind who was a very important role player. I'm trying to think of some others who I think were important, but I bring all of that
Drew
up to
Holiday,
say,
another one.
Drew Holiday, right? Yep. And so I bring all that up to simply say that you don't have to be a star to be successful. You don't have to, you can have a successful career and win championships by being a role player, by coming off the bench, by just kind of making yourself available when you're necessarily needed. And I think that Bronny has time to do that. Where I struggle is I am one who always feels that as an organization, you should use the draft to either do one of two things: improve your organization or find trade value to help improve your organization. And I'm just not sure Bronny does that on either level for the Lakers. I hope that I'm wrong, to be honest. Like, maybe he does. I don't know. So, you know, if we're being completely honest, I don't cover the in-depths of the Lakers enough to know whether or not, you know, this is something that's going to move the needle for them. But no, like on the surface, just kind of feels like you got picked because your daddy plays for them.
Yeah.
To that end, there is not enough Black nepotism. There is not enough. I don't know a parent who does not say that I work every day, that I go to work every day, that I build what I'm building so that my children can do better, so that my children can have better, so that I can give my children what they need. And let's be honest, it ain't even just basketball. Do you think Ed and Sean Hockley didn't have anything to do? Like, they are two of the most notable referee officials in the NFL. You don't think his daddy put him up? Like, let's look at all the ownership in the NBA. You don't think people's daddies? Let's look at Jerry Jones. Your whole roster is
Fully Go Kids.
David Jones, Jerry Jr. Like, your whole roster is your family. So I am not at all. Like, the last thing that I actually care about is the fact that LeBron got his son in the NBA. Kudos to you. Like, honestly, kudos to you, because it's been happening everywhere and it's been happening for everyone but us. So it is finally about time. Like, it's about time. Outside of Ken and Ken Griffey Jr., and I ain't even saying that Ken got Junior in, because Junior was a beast.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
call
ma'am.
the kid for a reason.
Ma'am.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't even.
We can't even count that one, sis. We can't count that
one because you was gonna get in regardless.
Absolutely,
know? So,
absolutely.
But the point that I'm making is simply that I have no problem whatsoever about LeBron using whatever leverage it is that he used, and really the leverage that he used publicly is his relationship with Rich Paul. Rich Paul was the one that was making all the moves, because I'm seeing what's coming out about what Rich Paul says was going to happen if they didn't pick Bronny, the conversations that were going on with other people, the way that he was demanding he's making a roster and not be like, that's Rich Paul. Rich Paul is the one who was really calling the shots, for real. But of course, with LeBron's backing. And I just simply don't have an issue with anyone being able to put their children in a better position to do well in life. But on the Lakers' perspective, I just wonder, what do you think the benefit of this is going to be long-term, other than just the ability to say, we were able to produce the first father-son duo as teammates? Because I'm looking at the Lakers, right? When I think about them as a team, I'm like, wow, you were able to get, 75 games out of Bron and AD?
Yep.
And you were still a play-in team?
Yeah.
You ain't getting that kind of production. You ain't getting that kind of availability out of Bron and AD for years to come. Like this was like especially AD. Like no hate, but it's just like, dang, AD, you are injury prone.
Right,
So
right.
you know, I don't think that there will be another opportunity like they had this year, and this year they couldn't cash in on it. So from a Lakers' organization perspective, it doesn't matter that he was number 55. You use the pick on someone that I am not sold can truly help move your needle forward for your organization. And I think ultimately that should be the point.